The morning after my granddaughter's graduation party, I found a foreclosure notice taped to my front door. My name is Margaret, and I am 68 years old. I have lived in this house for 41 years. My husband built the back porch with his own hands. My daughter took her first steps in the living room. And now, according to this crisp white paper flapping in the Arizona wind, I had 60 days to vacate. My hands shook so badly I could barely read the words. Second mortgage default. Failure to pay. Property to be seized. I had never taken out a second mortgage in my life. The coffee I had been carrying slipped from my fingers and shattered on the porch. Brown liquid spread across the wood my husband had sanded and sealed 20 summers ago. I did not move to clean it up. I just stood there, reading the same impossible sentences over and over, waiting for them to make sense. They never did. My daughter Lauren appeared in the doorway behind me. She had stayed overnight after the party, along with her husband Jason and my granddaughter Lily. I heard her gasp when she saw the paper in my hands. "Mom, what is that?" I turned to face her, and something in my expression must have frightened her because she took a step back. "Did you know about this?" I asked. My voice came out strange, hollow. Lauren's face went pale. She opened her mouth, closed it, then looked over her shoulder toward the kitchen where I could hear Jason making breakfast, eggs sizzling in a pan. The smell suddenly made me nauseous. "Mom, let me explain," she started. But before she could say another word, Jason appeared behind her, spatula in hand, wearing that easy smile he always wore, the smile that had charmed me at their wedding 8 years ago, the smile that now made my stomach turn to ice. "Everything okay out here?" he asked, all casual concern. His eyes flicked to the paper in my hands, and for just a moment, something flickered across his face, something that looked almost like satisfaction. Then it was gone, replaced by confused worry. "What's that?" I stared at him. This man I had welcomed into my family. This man I had helped with car payments and medical bills and a dozen other emergencies over the years. This man who had called me mom and hugged me at holidays and sat at my Thanksgiving table eating food I had spent 3 days preparing. "You tell me," I said. Jason's smile faltered for just a second. He recovered quickly, too quickly, shaking his head with exaggerated confusion. "I have no idea what you're talking about, Margaret." He never called me Margaret. It was always Mom or nothing. The formality felt like a slap. I looked at my daughter. She would not meet my eyes. "Lauren," I said carefully. "Look at me." She did, finally. Her eyes were wet. "I don't know what's happening," she whispered. "Jason handles all our finances." I thought everything was fine. Jason laughed, but it sounded forced. "Because everything is fine. This is obviously some kind of mistake, a clerical error. I'll make some calls on Monday and get it sorted out." He stepped forward and reached for the foreclosure notice. "Here, let me take care of that." I pulled it back, out of his reach. "No," I said. "I'll handle it myself." Something shifted in Jason's expression. The friendly mask slipped just slightly, revealing something harder underneath. Something cold. "Margaret," he said, and there was an edge to his voice now. "You don't need to worry about this. Let the family handle it. That's what we're here for." The words hung in the air between us. Family. Handle. Here for. I thought about all the times I had helped them. All the checks I had written, the loans I had given, the emergencies I had solved. I had never asked for anything in return. I had never expected anything except love. Now I looked at my daughter crying quietly on my porch, at my son-in-law watching me with those cold, calculating eyes, and I felt something shift inside me. Something that had been sleeping for too long finally woke up. "I think," I said slowly, "you should leave now." The silence that followed was deafening. Before anyone could respond, I walked past them into my house, past the kitchen where Lily was eating pancakes unaware of the storm brewing around her, straight to my bedroom. I locked the door, sat on my bed, and called my bank. What I learned in the next 20 minutes changed everything. According to their records, I had taken out a second mortgage on my home 14 months ago. The documents bore my signature. The loan amount was substantial, enough to pay off the remaining balance on the original mortgage plus provide a significant cash payout. That money had been deposited into my account, then immediately transferred elsewhere, I told the representative I had never signed any such documents. I told her I had never authorized any mortgage. I told her someone had stolen my identity and my home. She was sympathetic but firm. The paperwork was in order. The signatures matched. Without proof of fraud, there was nothing the bank could do. I hung up feeling like the world had tilted on its axis. Over the next week, I gathered information like a woman possessed. I requested copies of every document from the bank. I pulled my credit report and found 2 credit cards I had never opened, both maxed out, both with my name and social security number. I discovered my savings account, the one my husband and I had built together over 40 years of careful living, had been slowly drained over the past 18 months through small withdrawals that had somehow escaped my notice. The total damage was staggering. My house, my savings, my credit, everything I had worked my entire life to build was gone or compromised, and I still could not prove who had done it. Jason and Lauren had left the morning of my discovery. Jason had been charming right up until the end, assuring me it was all a misunderstanding, promising to help clear things up. Lauren had hugged me and whispered that she was sorry, though sorry for what she never specified. Lily had waved from the car window, innocent of everything. I had not heard from any of them since, but I had my suspicions. Jason worked in real estate. He understood mortgages, loans, property transfers. He had helped me set up online banking 3 years ago when I had mentioned struggling with the technology. He had been alone in my house dozens of times when I was at church or volunteering at the library or visiting friends. He had opportunity. He had knowledge. And based on the pattern of emergencies that had plagued their family over the past 2 years, he had motive. But suspicion was not proof. I found Sandra Mitchell through my church. She was a retired attorney who had moved back to Arizona to be near her grandchildren, and she still took occasional cases when they interested her. Mine interested her very much. She arrived at my house on a Tuesday afternoon, a small woman with silver hair and sharp brown eyes that missed nothing. She spread the documents across my kitchen table and studied them for nearly an hour without speaking. Finally, she looked up at me. "Someone went to a lot of trouble to make this look legitimate," she said. "These signatures are good. Not perfect, but good. Whoever did this had access to samples of your real signature. They practiced. Can you help me?" She smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had seen this before and knew exactly how ugly it was going to get. "I can help you," she said. "But I need you to understand something first. If your son-in-law did this, and I believe he probably did, then your daughter either knew or should have known. You may get your house back. You may get your money back, but you will almost certainly lose your daughter in the process." I thought about Lauren, my only child, the baby I had rocked through colic and chicken pox and heartbreak, the teenager who had slammed doors and screamed that she hated me, the young woman who had cried on my shoulder the night before her wedding, nervous and excited and so very young. Then I thought about Jason's cold eyes, about the foreclosure notice on my door, about 41 years of memories in a house I might lose because I had trusted the wrong person. "Do whatever you need to do," I said. Sandra nodded. "Then we begin." The investigation took 3 months. Sandra brought in a forensic accountant named David, who traced every dollar that had left my accounts. He found credit card purchases at electronic stores and jewelry shops. He found cash withdrawals at ATMs near Jason's workplace. He found transfers to an account registered to a company called JLM Consulting, which existed only on paper and whose initials matched Jason Lee Mitchell exactly. He also found something else. 14 months ago, around the time the second mortgage was supposedly signed, there had been a notary involved. A man named Robert Callahan, who operated out of a small office near the county courthouse. David discovered that Robert Callahan and Jason had served together on a local business council. They played poker at the same club on Thursday nights. They were friends. "A notary is supposed to witness you signing a document in person," Sandra explained. "They're supposed to verify your identity." Callahan either notarized a forged signature without you present, or he notarized it knowing it was fraudulent. Either way, he's an accomplice, but we still needed direct proof connecting Jason to the forgeries. That came from an unexpected source. My neighbor Helen had installed security cameras after a string of car break-ins in our neighborhood. Her cameras covered not just her property, but part of my driveway and front walk as well. She mentioned this casually one afternoon when she brought me a casserole. I have footage going back 2 years, she said. Probably nothing useful, but you're welcome to look. We spent 3 days reviewing the files. Most of it was useless. Cars passing, mail carriers, squirrels running across the lawn. Then we found it. A Tuesday afternoon 14 months ago. I had been at a church luncheon. Jason's truck was in my driveway. The timestamp showed him entering my house at 11:40 and leaving at 3:15. 3.5 hours alone in my home. We cross-referenced the date. It was the same day the second mortgage documents were dated. The same day my signature supposedly appeared on papers I had never seen. That places him at the scene, Sandra said. But it's not definitive proof he forged anything. We need more. More came from my own phone. I had forgotten about it completely. But 2 years ago, Lauren had set up a voicemail to email feature so I would not miss messages while volunteering. Every voicemail I received was automatically converted to audio and sent to my email, including one from 8 months ago. In the message, Jason's voice was hurried and irritated. He was calling Lauren, but had apparently dialed my number by mistake. In the 45 seconds before he realized and hung up, he said enough to seal his fate. The credit cards are maxed. I need to get another cash advance from her account before the old lady notices. Tell your mother we need help with another medical bill or something. She always falls for that. By the time she figures out what's happening, we'll be long gone. I played that message for Sandra with shaking hands. She listened twice, then set down her pen and looked at me with something like wonder. He called you by accident and confessed everything, she said. In his own words. On a recording, yes. Sandra leaned back in her chair. Mrs. Margaret, I have practiced law for 37 years. I have never seen a defendant hand us the case quite so completely. Within a week, we had filed criminal charges for fraud, forgery, identity theft, and financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. The prosecutor, a serious woman named Angela Torres, added additional counts after reviewing the evidence. Jason was arrested on a Thursday morning at 7 o'clock. According to the officers who made the arrest, he was still in his bathrobe, coffee cup in hand, utterly stunned. Lauren called me that afternoon, sobbing. How could you do this? He's my husband. Lily's father. I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. Did you know? A long pause. Too long. I didn't know everything, she finally said. But you knew something. Another pause. Then, barely a whisper. Yes, I closed my eyes. Then you have your answer. The trial took place 4 months later. I sat in the front row of the courtroom every single day. I watched the prosecutor present the evidence piece by piece. The forged documents, the account transfers, the video footage, the voicemail recording. Robert Callahan, the notary, had taken a plea deal in exchange for testimony. He described in detail how Jason had brought him the papers, how he had known the signature was forged, how Jason had paid him $5,000 to look the other way. When they played Jason's voicemail in the courtroom, I watched his face go white. Lauren testified against him. She wore a simple gray dress and kept her eyes down as she answered questions. She admitted she had suspected the money was not legitimate. She admitted she had chosen not to ask questions. She admitted that when I had confronted them on the porch that morning, she had known exactly what that foreclosure notice meant. Why didn't you stop him? The prosecutor asked. Lauren's voice broke. Because I was scared. Scared of losing my lifestyle. Scared of admitting I had married a thief. Scared of what it would mean if I looked too closely at where the money was coming from. And now? Lauren finally looked up, and for the first time, she looked at me. Now, I wish I had been brave enough to tell my mother the truth before it destroyed everything. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Jason to 7 years in state prison, with eligibility for parole after 4. He ordered full restitution of all stolen funds. He permanently barred Jason from working in real estate or any financial services industry. Robert Callahan received 3 years. When the gavel came down, I felt something release in my chest. Something I had been carrying for over a year finally let go. It was not joy. It was not satisfaction. It was simply relief. The weight was gone. Outside the courthouse, reporters wanted statements. I gave them one. I trusted my son-in-law with access to my home and my life, I said. He used that trust to steal everything I had built over 40 years of hard work. If my story helps even one other senior citizen recognize the warning signs and protect themselves, then something good will have come from this. The story was picked up by local news, then national outlets. I received hundreds of letters from other elderly people who had experienced similar betrayals. Some asked for advice. Some just wanted to know they were not alone. I answered, as many as I could. The house was saved. The restitution payments, combined with what David had managed to freeze and recover, restored most of my savings. Sandra refused to take payment beyond her basic expenses. You've given me the most satisfying case of my career, she told me. That's payment enough. 6 months after the trial, Lauren asked if she could come visit. I thought about it for 2 days before I said yes. She arrived on a Saturday morning. Her hair was shorter, her face thinner. She was staying with a friend across town while the divorce finalized. She had found a job at a dental office. She was in therapy. We sat on the back porch my husband had built, drinking tea and watching the birds at the feeder. I brought something, Lauren said. She pulled a small envelope from her purse. Inside was a check for $2,000. It's not much. It's everything I could save from 6 months of work. I'm going to keep sending them until I've paid back every dollar. I looked at the check, then at my daughter. This will take you 30 years, I said. Then it takes 30 years. Her voice was steady. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Mom. I know I don't deserve it. I'm just asking for the chance to prove I'm trying to be better. I thought about her testimony in court, about the look on her face when she finally met my eyes, about the choice she had made to tell the truth even though it was painful. Keep showing up, I said finally. That's what matters. Last month, Lily turned 16. Lauren asked if she could bring her to my house for a small celebration, just the 3 of us. I baked a chocolate cake, Lily's favorite, using my mother's recipe. We ate it on the back porch while Lily told me about school, about her driver's permit, about a boy in her chemistry class who made her laugh. She did not mention her father. Neither did I. Before they left, Lily hugged me tight. I'm sorry about what Dad did, she whispered. I didn't know. I really didn't know. I believe you, I said, and I meant it. After they drove away, I stood in my kitchen, washing dishes and looking out at my garden. The roses were blooming. The tomatoes were coming in. Life was continuing, season by season, in its patient way. I am 69 now. I live alone in a house full of memories, some painful, some precious. I volunteer at the senior center twice a week, teaching a class on financial safety. I have made new friends, women my age who gather on Thursday afternoons for coffee and cards and conversations that would scandalize our grandchildren. I have learned something important through all of this. You can love your children without letting them destroy you. You can be generous without being foolish. You can forgive without pretending the hurt never happened. Jason writes letters from prison sometimes. I do not read them. Lauren still sends checks every month. Small amounts, but consistent. We have coffee once a week now. The conversations are careful, measured, but they are real. Trust, once broken, takes a long time to rebuild. I do not know if we will ever get all the way back to where we were. Maybe we are building something new instead. And that is enough. If you are watching this and something in my story feels familiar, please hear me. You are not foolish for trusting the people you love. You are not weak for wanting to believe the best in your family. But you also do not deserve to be stolen from, lied to, or taken advantage of. Watch your accounts. Ask questions. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong, and know that you are worth protecting. My name is Margaret. I am 69 years old. I almost lost everything to someone I called family, but I did not lose myself. And that, in the end, is what matters most.